You look very dumb today with your smart glasses, dumb dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. What's up, Dum Dum? You know what I think is awesome?
What?
We're both sitting at our respective homes, and we picked the same shirt, dude. We picked the shirt that J Rob sent us for his the ministry that he's doing.
Yeah.
That's real cute, dude. That's
Youth,
dumb and cute. We're
youth
adorable.
soccer program in California and San Diego.
I know, I love it. But how adorable is that? It's so
Yeah.
adorbs.
We didn't even talk about it at our planet,
No, so
but that's
cute.
not what we're talking about today.
We're not talking about how cute we are.
Correct. We are not talking about that.
That'd be pretty dumb.
That would be dumb
That'd be
and
real
not
dumb.
deep.
It could be deep. Could be. You could talk about the depth of connection that causes things like this to happen all the time, or the lack of closet variety that maybe causes these things to happen. But anyhow, yeah, man, what are we talking about today?
The problem with being an action taker.
Yeah.
The problem with being an action taker. You know, we promote taking action very regularly and making things happen, but sometimes it backfires.
Yeah.
Sometimes it backfires.
You know, I'm a big fan of being having a bias towards action, and I think that I think many more people are stuck in analysis paralysis than are serial action takers. But I think you always have to be self-aware. We talk about being self-aware. You always have to take stock of these different personality traits. And what really made it come out, we take action. We're big on that, like you said. And I would say, I don't look at these things as negatives, but we have definitely paid for additional education.
Yeah.
That doesn't get degrees, whether it's just decisions we made on investments, business decisions, different, things that we've put money into that we thought maybe would give a different ROI, whether that's in time, relationships, these different things. And we're very quick to pull the trigger. Now I will say you're inherently, we talked about this yesterday, you're inherently a no guy. Unless you're really excited about something, then you're very quickly a yes guy. But typically you're a no guy, and typically I'm a yes guy. Not necessarily towards action, but just saying yes to different things or opportunities, or getting really excited about it. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge blessing, because if we were both yeses,
we'd be bankrupt.
But also it really helps us balance, and we typically have very good conversations, because sometimes I'll bring something that I'm like, yes, I'm big on this, and you're like, nah, because you're a negative Nancy initially, but then we have a really good conversation. And a lot of times you either come, well, not all the time, every time you either come to realize that it is a good opportunity that I'm bringing, or I'm like, yeah, you're probably right, we should back off this. And recently we were looking at a property. We've been looking at different kind of properties out here in Colorado that are intended to meet different objectives on things that we're focused on. And we were both quick on this property, right? We loved this property. It had this barn and all this kind of stuff. And my wife is very much, she's not a yes or no. My wife is very pragmatic. And she's like, okay, well, have you thought of this? And I'm like, no, I have not. That's your job, because, I don't think about that. But she started asking questions about, specifics on this property. Okay, well, what if, and how are you gonna, and, what about music at night, and this and that and the other. And I'm like, I didn't really think through all that. And we ended up realizing that property was a no. And it's a beautiful property. It's great. And I think if it was a primary residence that we were trying to make into some kind of combine or something, I don't know. It could have been cool, but for the businesses that we're looking at, I think it would have been a bad decision. I really do. And we were both extremely high on it. Like, yes, like let's put an offer in tomorrow. But the other side of that, now that I'm, analyzing it, dude, it was the first property of that type that we looked at. And so usually the first one you look at is it's prudent to probably have like some experience and look at a number of properties,
Yeah.
or analyze a number of different ways in this new business that you're trying to do, you should probably, even the Bible talks about the person with many advisors. That's wise. That's how you get to success. And we did none of that,
Right.
but we were ready to put an offer on and this wasn't this was like a pretty expensive property, and it would have been very expensive for upkeep and all the things, and it probably would not have been ideal for what we're looking at doing. And that is all that to be said, is because we do have a bias towards action. We're like, hey, dude, let's put an offer. Let's start moving. Let's do this. And it would not have, I don't think it would have, now that I think about it more critically, I don't think it would have been a great property for us. Actually, I think
Yeah.
it probably would have, I think we would have regretted it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, and there's something towards, we're not saying that being an action taker is bad by any means. And even if you choose to take action and it's ends up being a failure or, wrong, there's an optimistic way of looking at that too.
Right.
You can look at things and understand that, hey, failures are just educational events that make you get better. So not really necessarily saying that, taking action is bad. However, it is good to not just blindly be taking action for the sake of taking action.
Right.
There have been times that we did that.
Yep.
And those times, more often than not, were not successful in the long run. Were they educational? Yes. If we'd have not taken action on that, who knows? Maybe it's all a big part of our story, where we're headed, why we're doing what we're doing. And there's no reason to regret any decision that we made. But it is really smart to take a look at what action steps you're taking, analyze those action steps, and ensure they're the right ones.
Yeah. And I think you make a great point. I want to be 100% clear. I have zero desire to not be an action taker.
Yeah.
And I think even with this property, I think it would have been a distraction, not a failure. And I should refine that. I don't think it would have been the highest and best purchase or the highest and best property for these things that we want to do. And what we want to do, just to be clear, is not just create, it's not our normal, hey, we want to go to a burr and rent it out, make some money and refund it. It's not that. We have a vision for these properties that we're looking at that are literally are part of a bigger plan.
Yeah.
So the while there is an element of renting it out and whatnot when we're not using it, but the bigger vision is tied to these other efforts that we're doing, specifically with our mastermind that we're starting up, and being very intentional in creating or having a place that could be effectively a headquarters, a meeting ground, a place of fellowship. Like, it has this higher purpose, right? And so, we're going to take action, and but I think the downside, you just always have to be aware, for every positive, there's a negative, right? And you have to be aware of that. And as we were analyzing, we're like, you know what, here's the downside of being just, of desiring to take action, is that we should admit to ourselves that we did not do the level of due diligence that should have been performed on something like this.
Yeah.
Is really what it boiled down to. And I think, we were able to talk through it. We did get advice on it, and we reined back, right? We didn't put an offer in. We realized, okay, this probably isn't. And now we're lining up other properties to take a look at. And I think that's just the point, though. I think sometimes in the past we've pulled the trigger, and I will say most of the things that we pulled the trigger on were, like you said, educational, but and they were not as successful as they could have been. And we quickly realized, we're like, okay, we should have probably done this a different way.
Yeah.
But the positive spin of that, and what I also see people do, is they're action takers. It doesn't turn out like they expected, and then they're done. Like, it will never work.
Yeah.
This was a worst experience ever. It will never work. Well, that's also bad, right?
They blame others. They choose not to move forward. They continue. They fail. They quit.
I failed one time, so I'm
Yeah.
done. Well, you look at, baseball comes to mind for somebody. It's so boring, but it comes to mind.
Baseball's awesome.
The best, the best uh batters, the best hitters aren't even breaking 400,
Right.
40%, right? The best, some of the best in the world, they're in the high threes. So 30%, 35% of the time. So that means 65%, give or take, almost 70% of the time they're striking out or it's a failure, but they're the best, right? And
Yeah.
so I think, for us, we've hit a bunch of singles. Sometimes we've hit some foul balls, but we're still in the game and we're still getting up to bat. And I think it's important that that you look at it that way as well. And I think there's, an opportunity to keep pressing, be smart about it. And again, be smart. That's hard, right? Get advice and continue to take action, because ultimately, even those bad, quote unquote, bad decisions, I don't think we made any bad decisions, dude. I don't. I think we've lost money. And I think a lot of the things that we've done have really created a foundation for some of the things that we want to do. And
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to be. I wish we would have lost less money to learn. But we're dumb dudes.
We
So,
are dumb
it's
dudes.
more expensive to learn for us sometimes.
That's right. So don't be dumb and don't blindly take action. Get some
Don't.
advice from some other dumb dudes before you take action.
And if you have some smart dudes like or dudettes, I would encourage you to talk to them too,
Yeah.
because that could save you some time and money. But if you're gonna be dumb, at least be deep and try not to be as dumb, but be deeper.
Awesome. See ya.
Peace.